Imagine this. A squadron of American fighter planes takes off from England in the middle of World War II. They fly over the North Sea and then vanish. No radio contact, no wreckage, no distress call. Hundreds of men gone. But weeks later, radar operators begin picking up strange signals, planes appearing on screens, ghostly formations, moving in perfect military formation. The problem? Those planes were already declared lost. What happened to the Phantom Squadron of World War II? The year was 1944. The world was burning. The Allies had launched the D-Day invasion, and the skies over Europe were alive with constant battles. In those chaotic months, a U.S. bomber group known as the Flight 19 Squadron was assigned a routine training and supply mission across the North Sea, a trip that should have lasted only a few hours. They took off at dawn, 10 aircraft, all B-24 Liberators, each loaded with fuel, ammunition, and young men barely in their 20s. The weather was clear, the radio check came in normal. Then, about 90 minutes into the flight, the first strange signal. Command, we're seeing strange lights information ahead. Looks like our own planes, but something's off. Those were the last words ever heard from Flight 19. Then silence. No SOS, no radar blip, nothing but open ocean and fog. Within hours, search planes were scrambled from airfields across England. British and American pilots flew grid after grid over the North Sea, but found no debris, no oil slick, and no sign of survivors. The official report said lost due to navigational failure and weather. But the weather had been calm. The coordinates didn't match. And the men flying that mission were elite navigators, trained to find their way even through heavy fog. Something wasn't right. Weeks passed, and rumors started spreading among pilots stationed nearby. Men whispered in the barracks about ghost signals, phantom echoes, and voices on dead frequencies. One radar operator claimed he saw an entire formation of B-24s appear out of nowhere on his screen, moving in tight formation, only to fade away moments later. They were there, he said. I saw them. Then they were gone. The U.S. Army Air Forces dismissed it as radar malfunction, but not everyone agreed. In early 1945, something unbelievable happened. A British fishing crew near the coast of Denmark radioed authorities claiming that a squadron of American bombers had flown low overhead, completely silent, heading inland toward Germany. No Allied mission had been planned for that day, and when radar units checked, nothing appeared on the screens. But witnesses from 3 separate villages saw the same thing: 10 bombers flying in perfect formation, their engines eerily quiet, their markings faded and weathered as if they'd been lost for years. Then, gone again, vanished beyond the clouds. British intelligence opened a classified file titled Operation Phantom Flight. They sent coded cables to U.S. Command, asking if any secret aircraft experiments were underway. The reply came back clear: negative. No such operation authorized. So if not ours, then what were those planes? In 1946, a year after the war ended, a group of Navy intelligence officers declassified a small portion of intercepted radio transmissions from that period. Buried in the data was a chilling fragment, a broken Morse code signal repeating every few hours for 2 days straight. The source was traced to somewhere over the North Sea, and the message was short: "We see the lights, heading back home. Can't find the coast." That exact code matched the call sign of the missing squadron, but by then, the war was over, and the men of Flight 19 had been declared dead for more than a year. Decades later, meteorologists tried to explain it. Some claimed a rare electromagnetic storm had disrupted their instruments, disoriented the pilots, and caused them to crash into the sea. Others suggested a mirage effect, known as super refraction, which can make objects appear miles from where they actually were. But even those explanations couldn't account for the sightings years later, or the fact that multiple radar stations recorded identical echoes of aircraft flying in impossible conditions. In 1962, a declassified U.S. Air Force memo quietly mentioned the Phantom Squadron case, noting that the radar signatures did not match any known atmospheric phenomenon. The file was marked unresolved. But there's another layer, darker and far more secret. Recently uncovered Nazi documents revealed that during the final years of the war, German scientists were experimenting with advanced radar interference technology, early forms of stealth and electronic camouflage. One of those experiments, led by engineer Kurt Debus, mentioned a project designed to make aircraft appear invisible to enemy detection using radio wave distortion fields. If true, it's possible that Flight 19 accidentally entered one of these test zones and was somehow lost between frequencies of radar detection. Others believe they may have flown through a time displacement anomaly, a pocket of atmospheric energy created by overlapping magnetic storms. It sounds impossible, but then again, so did radar itself once. In 1978, a British amateur radio operator in Yorkshire claimed to have recorded a faint World War II-era transmission on a frequency long since retired. The static was heavy, but one voice broke through, barely audible, but clear enough to send chills down the spine. This is Baker 1, low on fuel. We can see the coast, but it's not on the map. Repeat, not on the map. The voice faded, and then silence. When audio engineers analyzed the tape, they confirmed it matched 1940s radio modulation patterns, but the origin, unknown. It was as if the past itself had come calling, across time, across decades, through the ghost frequency of war. By the 1980s, conspiracy theorists, historians, and even former military officers began pushing for the release of classified radar logs and mission archives from the North Sea region. When partial documents were finally released, researchers noticed something shocking. Between 1944 and 1945, over a dozen Allied aircraft vanished in the same region under nearly identical circumstances. Each report ended the same way. Weather conditions, stable. Radar contact, lost. Wreckage, none found. The military called it coincidence, but pilots who flew in that region still spoke in whispers about the gray clouds that swallowed planes whole. Some even called it the sky's Bermuda Triangle. Today, more than 80 years later, fishermen and cargo pilots in the North Sea still report strange lights moving across the night sky, formations that look like old World War II bombers flying silently in the moonlight. Some say it's just atmospheric reflection. Others swear they've seen the markings of the U.S. Air Force 1944, fading but visible. No one knows what really happened to Flight 19. Whether they crashed, vanished, or perhaps crossed into something we can't yet understand. But every time those ghostly blips appear on radar screens, one thing is certain. History still echoes. The story of the Phantom pilots is not just about disappearance. It's about how war pushes human understanding and mystery to the edge of reality. Perhaps those men are gone forever. Or perhaps, somewhere beyond our skies, they're still flying, stuck in a loop of time, repeating their final mission. And if you ever hear a faint engine hum over the cold waves of the North Sea, listen closely. It might not be thunder. It might be them, the lost squadron, still trying to find their way home. This was the story of the Phantom pilots, the squadron that disappeared into the clouds and into legend. If you love stories of hidden American history, secrets, mysteries, and the untold, then leave a like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes, the truth isn't lost. It's just waiting to be